Okay, good morning everyone, and thank you so much for attending today. We're very excited to introduce another layer of our web navigation tracking capabilities today. Something called OnClick tracking, and a lot of people are probably wondering, well, what exactly was that all about? We basically position it as giving you the ability to dig a lot deeper now in what people are really looking at on your website. Up until now, we've allowed you to see what people do as they move from page to page. Well, imagine now we're going to be able to tell you what they're doing within those pages. And so links that you have that normally would not have been tracked because they are opening things like a document or a video are now trackable and able to be seen immediately in Goldmine as part of your track data. So the plan for today's webinar is we're going to look at what these various tracking options are that we now offer. We have a few other enhancements tied into this release. We'll do a little demonstration and let you see exactly how this does work and how it tracks right back into the Goldmine system. And then we'll talk a little bit about what qualifies, who is qualified to now receive and be able to use this updated version. So let's start by talking a little bit about some of the newest features we now have for web tracking. The first that we've had requests for those who are using the multi-database send and tracking capabilities of IntelliClick. That means if you have multiple Goldmine databases, it used to be that we could only track web behavior on one database, but now we are able to track across all databases so that as people receive and start to look at different pages on your site, we can properly update their records in the database from which that campaign was sent. Just in general, our multi-database capability is something that requires separate licensing for multi-database, but for those who already have it, all this web tracking behavior is of course included. So just wanted to mention that is one of the two new enhancements that we've now made. The second enhancement, of course, is the OnClick behavior, and that is what I'll be featuring and showing in today's presentation. Here we're talking about tracking access to the links within the page, and that's the key here is that these are not links that are taking people to other pages on your site, but are opening up or allowing them to do things within that page itself. What is nice about this is that each of those links you actually set exactly how that information appears in Goldmine, what the verbiage or wording it will say when it's tracked back in, so that when you see it in your reports, when you look at it on the record, it's a meaningful, it's very meaningful as to what exactly they either watched or read. Again, the typical application, as more and more websites now are using video, substantially more, it's nice to now be able to track which of the videos they're watching if you offer up a video recording. I'll be showing today a page where we have several video recordings on our webinars recordings page and how we're able to track precisely which specific videos were watched by people who click on them. Of course, a file download, if you offer up the ability to read a PDF file or any other type of document that might be accessible directly on your site. PowerPoint presentations, things of that nature, that can also be immediately tracked, and the exact naming of it is controlled by you. If you're ever sending people to other websites, so let's say you represent products for other manufacturers and you provide hyperlinks that take people to their websites. Right now, with our website tracking until today, you wouldn't have been able to track the fact that they went to that other site because your code is not on those sites. But with this capability, you can at least track that one click that sent them to the other person's site. So you now have the ability to know that you did refer somebody over to that site. And if you have any kind of referral arrangements in place with those folks, at least you have now a way to track that you did send people to their site. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into a little demonstration here and take a look at how this actually works. So here we are in Goldmine, and I'm going to, of course, I have the Click Track tab available here. The message I'm going to use is already queued up. So I thought I already have an example of a message, and this is a message we commonly use in our various demonstrations that we do. And there's some hyperlinks in that message that take us just to the website just as you would have in any campaign you might do. So I'm going to go ahead and click here to the IntelliClick module page. That loads our web page and takes us directly to, in this case, our features page. Now on this page, we happen to have a link down below here that gives product comparison versus other service providers. And so I'm going to click on that link, and that link is actually into a PDF. So this is actually opening a PDF file in this case, which provides this little comparison side by side. So this is something we've always had on our site, but we've never really known who's actually gone and looked at it. And so in a moment after I finish this behavior, I'll show you exactly what is being registered back in Goldmine. Now let's say that person moves along and decides to go over to the webinars area. And I'm picking that page because here we have numerous recordings available to be watched on this page. So an example might be that they decide to look at the Trigger Timely Drip Marketing from your email, and they click to watch it. And in this case, it's loading our YouTube video of that particular campaign. I'm just going to close that so we don't have any audio interference on that. And so then after they've watched that video, they might choose to come along and see something else. Let's say our email list validation and template rendering webinar. And this, once again, would load another YouTube video. So each of those were clicks within the page. They never actually leave this page. They simply load a page, in this case from YouTube, on that video. Now let's go back over to Goldmine and take a look at exactly what we're seeing over on this account. I'm just going to refresh my ClickTrack tab, and you'll notice right here, I click to go to the features page, and then I navigate it. Actually, let me just let this finish refreshing so that we can get all the web behavior loaded up. So it's showing the navigation first to the features page, and I just want to start. Then there was a navigation to the recordings page, and within that page, these are the things we looked at. So there was a comparison to typical ESPs. That was the click on that PDF file. There was a drip marketing video that was looked at, and there was the email deliverability webinar video. So you see the exact name that's being loaded is not a URL. When we navigate to a URL, we track the actual URL, but once they're on that page, you're now able to set the words, and we set in the link exactly the words it says. So that drip marketing webinar video is something we set within that link. So when we provide you with the new JavaScript file, there's a little instruction page with some very simple instructions on how you adjust your links. You're not going to have to alter anything on your website. You're just going to add a little bit of coding inside your page to a link that will cause it to behave just as though they navigate to other pages and set what it puts as the wording inside your Goldmine system. And of course, in a few minutes when I run some reports, you'll be able to see how this appears in the reports as well. But each of those clicks, as you can see, is being immediately written in as a web nav with the details of what they're looking at. I'm going to just go back over to the page I was just on a moment ago, and let's click on at least one more. So let's say I decide to look at our general introductory video. This would just load the product overview webinar video. And let's see now, we should see momentarily here one more web navigation refresh. The navigation refresh, of course, is going to occur very quickly after people have clicked on it. So we'll get that behavior showing up momentarily. And here's the introductory webinar video that is now showing up here as well. So basically you can see that this is how it shows up inside Goldmine. Once I go to my reporting area, lots of reports we have that help you really delve into what people's behavior are. So our success ratio tracking is, of course, one that gives you a nice overview of what's going on your campaigns, and all of them. I'm going to just run this on the Imagine campaign, and then once it produces my results, I can go down to the section called Web Navigation Page Visited, and even here, those specific ones are showing up in my list. So these links that have registered not as a URL, but as an actual name are easily pulled up, and then I can view the people that have actually watched that video, or the mastermind video in this case, or our drip marketing webinar. So each and every one of these is nicely broken out and listed here. Now, another report many of you may or may not have been using in the past that you may find very helpful is our digital body language, because really all this web nav behavior that we're doing is really a form of monitoring their digital body language and what people are truly interested by the behavior they're exhibiting on your website. So I'm going to run this report, and this report gives you a couple of differences in how you analyze people's navigation behavior. Again, I'm going to pick the campaign, and the first thing I'm able to do is specify what's the minimum number of pages that they've actually viewed. So you may say, I don't really want to look at people who just hit my site and bounced off. I want to see people who've really navigated my site. So let's say here I set a threshold of 4 pages or more being navigated. That'll lower or put the scope of the audience it brings back to me at a smaller size to people that really are showing a certain level of interest that's worth paying attention to. I'm going to ask it to show me any results from the first of last month, and I'll just take that through to today. And we'll go ahead now and run the report. What's different about this report is rather than breaking things at a campaign level, it breaks everything out at a personal level. So if I look at Georgia, who's the one I've just been clicking and doing things on, here's a nice little overview of what in that period of time she's done. So this is really giving me a nice personal overview about Georgia and her interests. And it will, of course, break it out if she has responded to other campaigns. So it gives you a nice summary by campaign, but all tied back to the person. So this is giving me the digital body language of Georgia in this case. And I can actually see the various things she's looked at, the day and time that that's being looked at. And it's very helpful because, as you notice here, things like my rules of engagement or my comparison to typical ESPs is all showing nice and clear exactly the way I wanted it to from the web page and from the click. So a report many of you may or may not be aware of, a very useful one. It's the one on our menu called Digital Body Language, WebNav. And again, in all our reports, wherever we report back on web behavior, of course, any of these OnClick behaviors are going to be displayed and shown. So pretty simple and straightforward. It just augments the capability of the whole WebNav capability now to allow you to drill a little bit deeper and get very specific on what people are doing inside your pages. I'm just going to move back. And so in terms of what qualifies for the update, well, anybody that's current on their subscription, on their IntelliClick subscription, does qualify for this update. If you want the update, you just simply send an email to customerservice@intelliclicksoftware.com. And we basically just need to know who the website administrator is, so we'd want their contact information so that we can send them back an updated JavaScript file and instructions for them to apply that to. Now, the one thing you'll need to instruct them is which links on your pages you want to have updated. And we'll make sure that that information that gets sent to them is also copied to the person requesting this update so that you have the document that explains how they do the update, and then you can instruct them on what the wording is you want to use on those links so that it appears in a meaningful way inside of Goldmine for you. So I'm going to leave it open now to see if we have any questions. Pam, do we see any questions so far?
Right now, I want to invite anyone who has any questions to please post them in the questions pane. We are going to end the formal part of this webinar and then go ahead and just take your questions.